White people just discovered another shocking truth. You know, the last time we did a video and we said 70% of them are on welfare, a lot of them came to start debunking it and be like, how dare you say we are on welfare? We are actually working. We are actually doing this. We are actually struggling to actually survive. How dare you say it is the people that look like you that are actually the only people that are not on welfare? Every single Americans are on welfare. But this is the reality check on this particular video. A lot of them have been able to now adapt and accept that, yes, we are not only on welfare, but we are also privileged. But it is not their fault that they are privileged. That is their words. It is not their fault. They don't choose to be privileged. They didn't even ask for it. It just came. It just came is not the problem. The problem is, do you accept it? Do you accept it? And how are you using it? That is where the problem is coming from. But anyways, welcome back again to the channel. My name is Sonia. If this is the first time you're tuning in, do it, subscribe, like this video, drop me your comments, and lastly, do not forget to share. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you coming back to watch my videos. I appreciate and I do not take you guys for granted. Credit belongs to original creators of every single clips and stitches we are going to be using in our today's episode. And guys, this is just for educational purposes, not to come here bash anyone, not to come here make anyone feel uncomfortable. And with that being said, let's dive right into this video so that you can listen to what these people have to say and let me know your honest opinion in the comment section. Let's get right into it, guys.
Plenty of white people, they didn't want to be born with white privilege. They didn't ask for that.
No.
They didn't
the same
grow
way
up
that no one asked to be a slave, no one asked that you just was born.
And okay, so agreed, there are evil people that stepped into that with their white privilege and like used it and abused it and promoted white supremacy. And also and I don't think this is the equal opposite, but oppressive comparisons. I don't want to do that. There are black people that have also
Stepped into a victim mentality. And began to abuse white people with that.
Exactly.
And be like, you owe me something.
And it's equally wrong because we're all victims here. Everyone's a victim because we're born into the system. We didn't ask to be born in America. We didn't ask to be born in a society that was founded on white supremacy and racism. We didn't ask for any of that. We didn't ask to be born black. We didn't ask to be born white. We just were. So we're all victims of this system. Now, what are we going to do about it?
Yes.
This might be a hot take, but when we say white privilege, we don't mean that your life is easy. White privilege simply means that the color of your skin doesn't make your life harder. For instance, if you are someone who has darker skin, there are systemic issues that prevent you from achieving success in many instances. If you want to go to an elite university or get a high-paying job, statistically, you are less likely to get the position as a white person, even having the exact same experience. And if a person of color does get the position, they are then told that the only reason they did was because of DEI or affirmative action. People with darker skin are more likely to be arrested, incarcerated for long periods of time, and wrongfully convicted. And they're more likely to live in poverty because of unfair housing practices and other methods of discrimination. To truly understand what white privilege is, there is no reason to get offended when someone brings up this topic because they aren't saying anything about you or your character. What this term means is that in such a diverse society, your skin color is not a barrier to success, and you are set up for success much better than any person of color because America was built on white supremacy to favor white people.
If you're a white person, we need to start getting even louder on behalf of our friends and family who are minorities. Our government has antagonized them to no end. They're ripping up the street that proclaimed Black Lives Matter. They're removing accomplishments from our minority service members off of the Pentagon website. And now our federal government erased a ban on contractors who run segregated facilities. They are trying so hard to enrage our brothers and sisters of color. They want them angry and they want them out in the streets. It is so clear. I'm so proud of them for not taking the bait. I'm so proud of them for staying home and resting. But as they do, we have to fight on their behalf. The Civil Rights Act was only passed in 1964. I'm in my early 40s, but my parents grew up with segregation in their schools. And there's no way in hell, all these years later, we're going to go backwards to anything even remotely resembling that. If places are segregated and say whites only, that's not a place I will ever be. And any line of thinking that keeps us separate from one another is a thinking that we need to reject loudly and wholeheartedly. Nobody is better than anybody else in this country because of the color of their skin. We are not, in 2025, going to sit around and watch as a bunch of people make laws trying to make us go backwards. We have to be the loudest ones. We have to be the protectors. We have to be the allies. We have to be the advocates. We have to be the ones whose voices are the loudest in saying, we will not go backwards, and you will not oppress the minority community. Not on our watch. Not now, and not ever.
This is a hot take, but a lot of people don't know what virtue signaling is. Virtue signaling is when people don't actually care about the cause, but when people are paying attention, they want to seem like it so they get social recognition. In other words, when social change is trendy, they speak on it, and when it's not, they go into hiding and they close their mouths. The virtue signaling white liberal is what Malcolm X warned people about. Because what they are is hypocrites. They will never actually call out other white people on their racism or enact social change in any way. But they'll post a black square for Black Lives Matter, which doesn't actually do anything and just is a signal that they're a good person, right? White leftists who are actively trying to deconstruct this system and are calling out racist friends and family and cutting them off is very different. And that is the category that I fall into, that I'm encouraging other white people to fall into. I'm encouraging them to break out of the white liberal box and to enter this new territory of actively deconstructing their internalized racism and teaching other white people to be anti-racist, because this is not the job of people of color. We need more white people like this to actually enact social change, because we are the majority in this country. Okay, I hope this makes sense. Bye, love you.
White people, listen up if you give a fuck about Black lives. In the wake of the 2 lynchings that happened just within the past 24 hours, I know that there is a lot of white people who are feeling a lot of things right now. A lot of white people who care are feeling the outrage. They're feeling the pain. They're feeling the pain to the degree that they can, mind you. There's a lot of white people who are feeling very fucking helpless and hopeless, and a lot of white people who deal with white guilt and white shame, whether you realize it or not, because you feel this pain to this degree and you know it's so much worse for Black and brown people. A lot of white people sometimes even feel guilty for even feeling any bit of the pain and the heaviness and the weight that they feel when tragedies like this happen against non-white people, because it almost seems like you don't have a right to cry or to be angry. A lot of white people feel like it's just not your space to feel as deeply as you do about these issues. I want you to understand the importance of processing your feelings. Do that. But do not center your feelings in this situation or any situations like it. Remember that when you feel hopeless as a white person, in making any change, I want you to remind yourself the system was built so that way you felt hopeless. So any white people who want to go against the system of white supremacy feel like even if they wanted to with everything in their being, it didn't matter. It wouldn't matter. There's nothing you can do about it. People, I think, white people specifically, think that if you don't have some large group of people standing right beside you that and cheering for everything that you agree with, let's be anti-racist and all these things, you feel like if you don't have some group of people standing behind you and agreeing with you, that you're not making a difference if you speak on anything. And a lot of people believe that you are honestly not educated enough to speak on any of these issues in itself. And honestly, props to you if you don't feel like you're educated enough, so you just, keep to yourself, keep your opinion to yourself. But follow up to that, if you don't feel educated enough about a certain situation, then you don't necessarily need to speak from your own perspective. Keep uplifting Black voices. Share their story. You don't have to speak from your own personal experience. Duet, stitch, share posts of Black people and POC sharing their truth. Draw attention to the fact that white privilege is a real fucking thing. And if you have white skin, or you appear to have white skin, even if you are not white, you have white privilege. And it is your responsibility to learn how to use it as a tool to break down white supremacy, because only white people can end white supremacy. And in order to end white supremacy, you have to quite literally give up your white privilege. Not that you won't ever still receive privileges from being white. What I mean by giving up your white privilege is stop sitting on it silently. You will sacrifice aspects of the privilege that you experience to some degree when people hear you talking about being anti-racist, because other white people, they will not treat you the same. They will not respect you the same. They will not have you in spaces around them the same. They will see you as an enemy. So that is partially giving up part of those privileges. You sacrifice literally your own safety at times speaking up for these issues. But guess what? That's what we got to do, because Black people have their safety risked every fucking day for literally just existing. So honestly, I don't care that white people feel scared to speak out about these issues. I don't care that white people think I'm not educated enough to speak on a topic. Then fucking educate yourself. Google is a real fucking thing, but a lot of you are still stuck in your white fragility, so you won't even go to Google and say, how can I be an anti-racist white person? Because you're afraid of anything that's going to require honest self-reflection after you do a little research. A lot of you are so afraid that you will quite literally have to look at yourself in the mirror and go, oh, maybe I'm not as anti-racist as I thought. Oh my God, maybe there's a bunch of ways that I've been upholding white supremacy and using my white privilege, whether I'm conscious of it or not, in ways that oppress other people. And there's something I need to do as a white person to break down the system that is quite literally used to not only destroy the Black community, but quite literally erase the entire Black community and completely invalidate their existence as human. You as a white person are not helpless. And it really fucking pisses me off when white people say this, because bro, out of every single fucking colored person on this fucking planet, white people are the least helpless. So please just shut up with that fucking narrative, because honestly, that's your white privilege and your white fragility talking. Do the work. And if you want to learn how to do the work and become an anti-racist person, if you want to stop saying, I'm a non-practicing white person, but then you literally have never taken any time to decolonize your mind, then you should go and join my Unfuck Your Whiteness collective on Patreon, because I'm literally spoon-feeding white people what you need to know to actually be the decent white person that you think you are. Because I'm sorry, most of you have been sitting on the sidelines, uneducated or not educated enough, and you sit in your uncomfortability as, I don't want to be seen as one of those racist white people, so you don't do any research to unlearn how you are indeed one of those racist white people. Keep in mind, you don't have to literally have the belief in your mind, I hate Black people, I want all non-white people to just get out of here. You don't have to think like that to still be a racist and or uphold racist ideologies. Food for thought, bitches. Go to the link in my Instagram bio, Life of Trinity Faith, and join the Unfuck Your Whiteness collective to put your fucking money where your mouth is. Because all y'all talk about, I'm willing to do the work, but then, bitch, where is the work? Because I don't see it here in the room with us. And I want y'all to remember that the money that goes from this collective is not only going to me, but I am using money from this collective as well when more and more people join to directly put money from white people into the hands of Black people and POC. Because the government is not going to give reparations at anytime soon. I don't see it happen. Maybe not even ever. So I'm going to make sure that I'm going to use everything in my power to use my white privilege and my platform to make money, so that way I can funnel money back into the Black community and use my white privilege to uplift the Black community. And you, as a white person, can literally find ways to do this. Educate yourself, because I promise you, most of you are ignorant as fuck, even if you think you're not one of those white people. Most of you don't know what it means to do the work. And you literally have never even thought to try to do the research on your own because you're so scared of, maybe I am one of those white people. I want you to understand, when you join the Unfuck Your Whiteness collective, you will be called out on where you are like one of those white people. So you can do honest self-reflection work and release the ways that you within yourself, whether that be consciously or unconsciously or subconsciously, have been upholding white supremacy. Through your mindset, through your words, and through your actions. So if you want to unfuck your whiteness, then go join me on Patreon through the link in my Instagram bio, Life of Trinity Faith. I'm going to be using some of the money that comes from white people joining this collective to pay Black and brown people to come and share their experiences and things that they want white people to know so they can be better white people. And I will note this by saying, Black and brown people don't have to go into the space for the Unfuck Your Whiteness collective. We can absolutely upload content. You don't have to like be on any live streams with me. You will never have to share your truth and be vulnerable in certain ways in front of white people if you don't want to. If that's something that you don't feel comfortable doing, but you still want to share your story, you want to uplift Black voices, you just have something that you think white people need to hear, or just something you want to get off your fucking chest and you want white people to hear it, and you also want to get paid to have white people hear it, I want to put that content on the Unfuck Your Whiteness platform, and I want to put money directly into the hands of these people to pay them for sharing their stories, because Black people and people of color should never feel that they are expected to teach white people, and they should never do it for free unless they want to. I'm going to do my part to uplift the Black community as a person with white privilege and to do anything I can within my power to continually educate myself and other white people, as well as people who can pass as white. Because a lot of you have a lot of things that you also need to unpack within your very nuanced experience. Because even though you may be a person of color, you may be a Black person, if you appear as white, you have white privilege, and there are ways that you within your own mind, words, and actions may be upholding white supremacy. So let's unpack it. Let's have these conversations that we need to have so we can break down white supremacy. Because this world will never change until white people do the fucking work. White people made this mess in this fucking world, and white people need to be the ones to clean it up. You need to learn to put your fragility and your uncomfortability aside, and you start listening to Black and brown people. Because Black and brown people have never been out to get white people like the far right would love to make y'all think. They've just wanted equality and justice and fucking freedom like apparently they're supposed to have in this fucking country. But that's very much not true, and we can obviously see that due to just within the past 24 hours, 2 Black men being lynched in this country. And there's nobody's really talking about it. Nobody really cares. There's no fucking outrage like there needs to be. And that's because white people benefit from silence. So if you don't want to be a person who is using your white privilege to harm other people, make sure that you are intentionally using your white privilege to help people who don't have it. And you can start by educating yourself and paying people to educate you, since a lot of you would literally never put in the work on your own. Put your money where your mouth is. And if you're not willing to do that, you're not the white person you think you are. And you are a danger to all non-white people.
So yesterday I posted a video giving a very basic definition in my own words of what white privilege is. And I kept it very brief and vague on purpose because I had a feeling people would start arguing in the comments, which they did. But I also thought it was super interesting how many people were commenting that I have white guilt, that I want to be Black, and that I'm dying for the attention of the Black community. First of all, yes, I have white guilt. You should too. Anyone who grows up with the knowledge that they have systematic advantages over other people just because of historical events and historical discrimination should feel a little guilty about that. Whether or not they contributed to that is a whole other thing, but you're reaping the benefits of it. People act like white guilt is something to be ashamed of, but if you use it in the right way and you use it to further reduce injustice, it's a good thing. And when people talk about systematic injustice and things like that, and they say, oh, everyone's equal, and this is happening in the comments, there's no racism anymore, everyone's equal, obviously don't understand what systematic means. And I'm going to give an anecdotal story just to really hit this on the head. I am white, and on both sides of my family, we do not have any massive generational wealth. My mom's father is the only one of my 4 grandparents who we got any sort of generational wealth inherited from. And 99% of the wealth that we inherited from my grandfather was from selling his house. My grandfather was born in 1926 in rural North Carolina, and he was a 6'3" white man with blue eyes. And other than being white, my grandfather didn't have that many privileges. He was one of like 7 children. His mom didn't even get to high school level education, and his dad never went to college. They were not privileged in most other ways that we define privilege, but he was a white male in a very, very racist country. What his whiteness allowed him to do was work his way through college. At the time, there were colleges that weren't accepting Black people, and he was accepted to college as long as he could pay for it. And he ended up getting a law degree and becoming very successful. And again, never hoarded any significant wealth, but bought a house outside of Washington, D.C. in the 50s. In a neighborhood that was redlined. And actually, my mom, who was born in the 60s, remembers in the 70s when the first Black family moved into their neighborhood, because it had literally been sectioned off and realtors would not sell to Black families. And my mom, who is 58 years old, went to a year of segregated school. So for all of you saying, it was so long ago, everyone has equal rights now, get over it. My mom remembers when the first Black student joined her class in the 70s in Alexandria, Virginia. In 2015, my grandfather died, and we sold his house that he bought for around $100,000 in the 50s, and we sold it for $1 million. That money was divided among his children, and my family was able to get out of a lot of debt, and it completely reset my ability to go to private versus public school, my ability to afford tutors, my ability to become the educated person that I am. And it was all really because I have a white grandfather. Let me finish. Had my grandfather been Black and had all of the other skills and background that he had, he couldn't have gone to the schools that he went to, he wouldn't have been hired in the jobs that he was, and he couldn't have bought the house that he did, that, 65 years later, put his family out of debt. So if anyone tries to tell you it's not that deep, it really is that deep. It goes so far back. Any small privilege that a white person has is probably, to some degree, due to their whiteness. And if you are a white person who has roots in the South, you definitely should have white guilt, and you definitely should be doing the work to understand how your privilege affects the people around you and how you can help level the playing field. Because you, almost 100%, have an ancestor who owned Black people. So yes, I have white guilt. Yes, I'm aware of my status as a white woman, and I'm aware of the parts of my identity that are privileged and the parts that aren't. But saying that you have a certain type of privilege doesn't mean that you have every privilege. It just means that that aspect of your identity is favored by society. So I can talk about being a white woman, and that makes me privileged. But if I talk about being a woman, that is actually a disadvantage in a lot of ways. And everyone tried to get all particular about these specific situations where a Black person might have a privilege or a woman might have a privilege over a man. Those are isolated situations you're bringing up. We're talking about large-scale, mass, systematic issues. And it's a lot deeper than just, oh, I felt racism as a white person at one point. Fine, yeah, all of us can experience what feels like discrimination based on race. But that doesn't mean that it's systematically affecting you and stopping you and your families from catching up. That's really what it is. Now, yeah, legally, Black people and white people should have the same exact rights and privileges. But they're playing catch up. Because if my family, like I said, had been Black, we would never have gotten out of debt in 2015. I would never have been able to afford the school that I went to and live the lifestyle that I'm living right now. And that's because of effects from over 70 years ago. So thanks for listening. And yeah, white guilt's okay.
Anyways, welcome back, guys, and I hope you guys have seen all of that clips that I've actually been able to release out and play for you guys, and let's talk about it. So the system is normally built to favor the palm-colored people. You can hear it from the video. I did not actually say it. I did not formulate it. They were the one that they're using their mouth to actually say that this is actually what the system is being built for. This is actually what the system is. That you being white, you having a white privilege doesn't really mean that you are rich or wealthy. Now, we are not even talking about being rich or being wealthy, because yes, we have Black, successful, wealthy people. We have people that look like me that are very, very successful, that are doing well in the tech industry and whatsoever industry you can actually measure it. So we know. But now, a system is already designed that as you are a white person, as you are not looking like me, if me and you actually go to the level of applying for a job, you have every, like I said, every 75% percentage for you to be accepted in that job compared to someone that look like me. Let's get that clear. And now, if by chance I get that job, it simply means it will be tagged as DEI. Do you guys get where I'm trying to come from? So if a system is already built on that, what are you now telling me that is white privilege? Why can't I own it up and tell you that, yes, the main reason why you're actually getting this is because of that same single thing called white privilege? So it simply means that the white privilege is 100% working for your favor, as far as I'm concerned. Because if you hear from the clips of every single clip that I played, they keep reminding or saying it that it doesn't mean you're rich, but it means you can be favored. It means you can be more accepted in a certain environment. And someone that look like me, that have actually gone through slavery, segregation, Jim Crow, and so on and so forth, if by chance we are getting the job, it simply means it is DEI. Now, this is not saying that Black people are not successful or Black people are not getting jobs that they are supposed to get. But if you check the rates of Black people that have actually been dropped out of their offices, their working place this year alone, it is so ridiculous. Why are we not seeing those type of rates being dropped down in the palm-colored people? It simply means that the problem we have is the system. The system is the major problem that is hitting every single person. The system is the major problem that makes Mr. A look like he is better than Mr. B, even when Mr. A will not even have any single qualification that Mr. B actually have. So the problem is the system. That is why I keep saying it in my videos. How do we fix the system? How do you expect people that look like me to just keep quiet and not say anything and forget about what is happening, pretend as if everything is okay, when the system is still dragging them back to modern day slavery, as far as I'm concerned. A system was not only built, the system was also built to the point that even the place that the president is actually staying, it is tagged as the White House. What does that actually send? What is the signal that that is actually sending to a lot of white folks? It is sending to them that we own this place, we are the ownership of this place. No matter how hard you're trying to blend, no matter how you're trying to get in, you can actually get in a bit, but you actually have a boundary. You have an obstacle that can actually stop you. A system is already designed, and then you are now trying to convince me that the white privilege doesn't matter. It matters a whole lot. It matters a whole lot to a whole lot of them. And that is why when you see these high racial profile people, they come to tell you face to face that if not for the sake of us, you can actually not survive. I'm talking about the palm-colored people. But does that mean that black people are not successful? No. Black people are successful. Black people are doing well for themselves. Black people are still even trying to strive. So if the system is already designed on that level, why is the system can't just pay reparation to those people that deserve reparation so that they can actually just go their way and just make peace and everything just go fine? So the problem every single person is having right now is the white supremacy. They are the one that don't want to make everything easy for a lot of people to be able to blend in. Why they have already created a system for themselves whereby they own most of the houses, they own most of the wealth, they own most of every single thing, and the people that look like me are just like, they are just behind the scene watching what they have struggled for, what they have suffered for, what they have what they have cried for, being taken, managed, enjoyed by this same system called the white privilege system. But anyways, I leave you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section. This is just for educational purpose, not to come here and bash anyone, not to make anyone look uncomfortable. Credit belongs to the original creator of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. This is just for educational purpose, okay? And guys, with no further ado, subscribe, like, comment, and share. I'm going to be Simba, and I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye guys. I love you. Mwah.